Good afternoon. My name is Erin Brown. I'm the Director of Family and Community Engagement with our Office of Engagement. And we would like to welcome you to Summerfest and to our second community meeting for George Wythe Reimagined. Today, we are going to talk more about the design process for rebuilding George Wythe and want to have an opportunity to get some feedback from some of our community members about this process.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to George Wythe High School. If anyone needs interpretation services from English to Spanish, we do have 2 interpreters in the back, as well as headset distribution just outside the main doors. Si hay alguien que necesita interpretación del inglés al español, tenemos a nuestros intérpretes aquí en la esquina en la parte de atrás, pero también tenemos la distribución de audífonos por de parte de las, aparte de las, en la parte de afuera de las puertas. Muchas gracias.
All right, so this is phase 2 of rebuilding George Wythe. During the first phase, we needed to consider what type of school we wanted to build, what the theme would be. In our strategic plan, Dreams for RPS, all of our newly built schools are required to have a theme. We had 2 options, the arts or science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM. And after going out to the community for feedback, overwhelmingly students wanted arts as the theme, as well as many individuals in our Latin American community. So that is what the school board chose to go with. So George Wythe will be a school of the arts. If you are from Richmond or have been around for a while, you know that George Wythe was previously a school of the arts. The difference this time is we are going to make sure that we have state-of-the-art classes, sustainable resources, and that we have a strong curriculum for the arts. There will also be some STEM components through our CTE program. The other thing that we would like to consider today is whether this new building will have a clinic. So this would be an that could be accessed by parents, students, staff, after school hours, where you could get medical care from either a nurse or physician. That could include vaccinations, physicals, things of that nature. The other option would be, do we want to have a welcome center? And some of you may not be familiar with what a welcome center is. So our coordinator of the welcome center that we currently have, Amelia Castaneda, is here to discuss what a welcome center could look like at the new George Wythe.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amelia Castaneda. I'm the Welcome Center Coordinator. And at the Welcome Center, we serve as an entry point for all our newcomer families and any family who speaks another language in the home. One of their main goal is to assess for English proficiency, to determine EL eligibility for our students, so that if they are eligible for EL services, English learner services, so that they obtain those services as soon as they enroll in school, and that there is no delay in those services. We also focus our attention on high school students coming from other countries who are bringing high school transcripts. We have the ability to do transcript evaluation to see if we can award any credits to those students so that they start the school year with some credits to their schedule already. Because we also know that some of our families are new to Richmond, to the city, and also to the country in general, we also provide services and supports in terms of resources and connecting them to any organization that can support them in getting acclimated to the city, but also to the school supports that are available to the families. This past year alone, we have seen over 1,400 families come through the Welcome Center. Out of all those numbers, about 20% of them were George Wythe students. And our office not only sees a specific array of families that are represented through the various countries that we have seen. This past year, we saw over 30 countries represented through the amount of students that we saw, from Australia from Afghanistan all the way to Yemen and Zimbabwe. So we definitely serve a big population of RPS students.
Yeah. Hello. Apologize. Did we go over this? No. All right. So our agenda for today, we are going to talk about what has happened in previous meetings, talk about our options for this meeting, and then get some time for Q&A. Next slide, please. So during our first community meeting, which happened at the end of June, we talked about the timeline for the design process, which is a pretty tight window. It's going to take us through the fall, but we really want to have a lot of these decisions made before we get to winter break. We want to make sure that you know how you can follow the process. There will be an online portal where you can look at any moment and see where we are in the design process. Also want to understand that there are some cost implications. So what that means is when we're asking these questions, do we want a welcome center or do we want to have a clinic? It's not that both of these aren't great opportunities and ideas, but that we don't have the money to do everything we could possibly do. So we really need your help with deciding what is most important. Finally, we want to make sure that there is some type of opportunity for our alumni to talk about what is the legacy that we want from our old George Wythe in this new George Wythe school. Next slide, please. So today we're going to review 3 different design options. We're also going to talk about the color that could be associated with any of those options. And then finally, we want you all to share by voting. And so we will have a ballot when you leave where you're able to select the option that you like the most. We'll record those votes along with any other feedback that you have, and we're going to be taking a tally from our community members from now and through the next week. Next slide.
Thank you, Dr. Brown. My name's Jeff Harris. I'm with RRMM Architects, and with me is Mark Probst, also from our office. We're going to go over the concept renderings with you, but first I'd like to let you know that these are conceptual in nature, and there's still going to be a fair amount of design to finalize the details and finalize the look. But this should give you a good impression of where the design is headed for each of the options. The first one is Concept 1A. This has some very unique architectural language to it, different than what you would see with a lot of school design. This has an arched roof at the front entrance. We want the entrance to be very prominent and let people know where to come when they're visiting the school. It has a stone accent wall centrally located right here next to the secure vestibule. This is the main entrance. Each of the options will have that secure vestibule that I just mentioned, but the features here include a metal panel at the top that looks like wood, so it's more durable than a traditional wood. This option also utilizes red brick, and we're going to show you in a minute what that color variation will look like. But this design includes a curved canopy across the front, giving students an opportunity to get out of bad weather. Next slide. And that curved canopy extends around and reaches a secondary entrance. That entrance is to the lobby for the gymnasium. So that would be the entrance that would be used in the evenings during basketball games. But again, you can see the color palette and the materials that we're proposing for this particular option. Next. This is the same design but uses different color brick. The first one had red. The predominant color for this brick is brown. Next slide. And you can see how that looks with that different angle. Same design but different colors. Next. This is Concept 2A. This is a little more traditional. It has more height at the main entrance. But it incorporates precast architectural concrete as an accent, but it's more traditional and architectural elements that you might be more familiar with. This has a much more modest canopy, not quite as large as the one before. Next slide. So you can see how much that projects compared to the other canopy. We would also provide one at that secondary entry point as well. This concept utilizes the same red brick as the other option. Next. And here we are with that same design, but using the brown brick. We're trying to give you guys color options as well as design options. Next. And here's what that looks like from the different angle. Concept 3A, it's a little bit more modern design. It's got a tilted roof over the main entrance, still has plenty of height, so it identifies the entrance very well. This also has a curved canopy that reaches around the corner and ties in with that secondary entrance. Next. In this view, you can see how the windows extend back towards the center of the building for to get light into that lobby. And you can also see how that canopy wraps around and connects back to that secondary door. This is the red option for this design. Next. And this is what it looks like utilizing brown brick. Next. So you can see just by changing the color, it can give you a different feel, even though the design remains the same. So after this presentation, we're going to be out in the lobby so you can get a closer look at some boards. We have boards on either end, and Mark and I will be out there answering any questions you might have.
All right, so looking ahead, some different things that we want to decide are what do we want the interior color and finishes to be? Do we want to have different colors than we have now? Do we want to consider a new mascot other than bulldogs? What are the floor plans? And finally, how do we want our alumni to participate, including some of our students who are students now will be alumni by the time this new building is built. So we're excited to have something new but carry on the legacy of George Wythe. So now we will have time for anyone here to ask questions, make comments. You can come up to the podium and we'd be happy to answer them for anyone. We also are going to have our architects go outside where you see those pictures and you can really look more closely at the different designs and ask some specific questions there as well as vote. So if you'd love to ask us a question that you'd want everyone to hear that you think maybe other people would be interested in, now is the time for you to come to the podium and do that.
Hi, my question is, do you have a slide about the security? Or is it gonna have security cameras? I mean, right now, I think all the time we've been very scared with security, especially what's happening all around our country right now. Are you guys planning around that also? Like, is there gonna be extra, like, I don't know, security cameras and more in details for us to know?
Yes, the design is going to incorporate all of the secure features we can possibly do in this building. We're going to take the opportunity to try and meet with the police department to get their input on things. But each of the main doors is going to have a secure vestibule, so we control who enters the building. They have to be checked in first before they can go any farther, but all of the secondary doors will have access controls, so yes, ma'am, they will be controlled with security cameras.
Any other questions or comments?
Oh, okay, thank you. I think I walked in when y'all were talking about the Welcome Center and the after hours situation. So is it either or that people will be voting on?
Yes, unfortunately, if we don't have unlimited funding for this school, and so we do have to make some tough decisions. So we would love to have both, but we can only have funding for one.
As a RPS teacher, I would definitely vote for that after-hours clinic. I'm definitely always looking for a space to go to so I can get out of my building but still do work and not really take it home. So just a little feedback on that. It looked like it would be a great opportunity for teachers to have a space too that can get some other things done and do community outreach. And then I think I heard you say y'all were trying to make decisions, I guess specifically about the color changes or mascot prior to the school year starting.
So this is for, right now, we are the Bulldogs. You know, that's, as long as we're in this space, you know, the colors and the mascot will be set. But in terms of when we open that new building, we may change that. We have an opportunity to hear from students and staff like you and community members and do what people feel is best.
I guess, feedback comment. I remember voting on the mascot for Lucille Brown when I was a student there. So I think it's a great idea to allow the students to definitely make that decision. Of course, alumni as well. But I remember that being a great experience to be able to say, hey, I made that happen or I had something to do with it. So thank you all.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments, or feedback before we go into the hall and look more closely at the diagrams that we have? All right, well, thank you, everyone. As you exit, there will be a ballot. I don't see my staff member because we do have a raffle. Does anyone have raffle tickets who is here? Tamika, could you or somebody just, I was texting them and they weren't responding.
In the meantime, we do have one other announcement. If Rachel Zarzor is in the building, we have found your